And we're back! The next section we're going to cover is interference. Brooks concluded that in 1968 there was evidence for separate visual and verbal systems. He demonstrated that shifting between visual and verbal material can reduce interference. Brooks assumed that if there are separate verbal and visual systems, then it should be possible to selectively interfere with the performance by varying whether the responses are given visual or verbal. For example, a verbal response requires an overt yes or no response. Verbal responding, if there really are separate systems, should interfere more with the sentence, the verbal task, than with the F, visual task. Conversely, visual responding, a point to a Y for a yes response and an N for a no response, should interfere more with the visual than the verbal task. He then split the participants into 4 groups: the visual task for a visual response, visual task with a verbal response, verbal task with verbal response, and verbal task with visual response. The results showed that the selective interference was indeed occurring. If the response was in the same modality as the task, response times were slower than if the responses were given in the other modality.